Well, I was about 40 years old, and I needed to drive because I had to walk across town at 20 below because I didn't have a car. And Grandpa was on the road, and he took the only vehicle we had, so he tried to talk me into learning to drive. And when he was home, I would take the twins on their paper route, and they went chuck-a-luck, chuck, chuck, chuck. It had a shift.
What color was it, and what?
Grandpa drove Dodges. I don't remember what it was, but Grandpa usually drove a Dodge, or he had Plymouths too, but I think this was a Dodge. But I don't remember much about the car because at the time cars didn't mean anything. If the wheels turned and it had gas in it, and I didn't even bother to get a license. I drove for a whole year without license. I think it was a blue car but first of all, I used Grandpa's to learn to drive. He tried to teach me, but that's the last teacher you want for. He thinks you should get in and start driving. That's Grandpa. And he thinks that you should get in there, and so I pretty much had to learn on my own. But I took the twins, he told me to take the twins on their paper route, and stopped, stopped, because I could not, it had a motor in it, and that scared me anyway. So pretty soon I did take him, and then I took him again, and slowly so I wasn't fearful of that car. So Jerry decided that as long as I was driving, he was so excited about me driving. He usually was. Whatever I did, he took great interest in. And so he gave me a car, and there was quite a story behind that car. His best buddy, which you may have known, he was kind of chunky, and he was a nice guy, and it probably needed water, but he didn't look under the hood, and it needed some very minor things, and of course Jerry could figure it out in no time flat. He drove his cars with a nail, started them with a nail when they didn't have a starter. And anyway, the guy said, the car doesn't work. And Jerry says, I'll buy it from you. I think it was $75, wasn't very much money. So the guy sold it to him because at least he was getting money, some money out of it. So Jerry takes the car, and whatever it needed, it was very minor. I don't think he even had to spend any money on it. And so he brings that car home, but I think it was a Chevy, but around the bottom it was all rusted out. And then I started driving with that car, and pretty soon I wasn't going downtown because I didn't trust myself. So in the little town of New Rockford wasn't very big, so I always drove around the edge of town, but no license. I never went downtown. I probably just went to drive, and I might have gone to my places where I was working. So I was doing housework, hour work for people. So I did get around enough, if I had to do little things, but I wouldn't drive downtown. But I didn't even think it was important to get a license. And so I drove for a year, and Jerry, I think, questioned me about a license. Well, then I finally got a license. And one time Jimmy's car broke down, and he was working at Darwin's gas station in New Rockford, and he asked if he could use my car. And I said, yeah, he could go ahead and use it. And he went down there, about 2 hours later, he called, he says, Mom, your car has a bad case of cancer. I didn't even know it was rusty. It drove. And so that was my first car that I had. And I don't know if you want to go further to another car.